Record.
Okay. Yeah,
Recording
yeah,
in
yeah.
progress.
First of all, change your view to gallery.
It
Do you know how
is.
to do that? It
It's
is?
done. Yes.
Done, sweet. So I think it's good to have your recording, and then should I use my recording as like backup as well, or
Yeah,
what?
yeah. You have your own recording, huh? Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah, yeah. And also my one would have like we can put graphics on, like well not graphics, but we can put windows on it and shit like that. You know what I mean? So
역시
어쨌든 뭐.
프로야. 역시 프로는 달라.
야, 레코딩 시작했고, 그리고 저 일단
Suddenly there's the 방송
네,
tone.
일단은 마이크로폰 체크를 한번 하겠습니다. 그 리코딩에 내 거는 그래도 체크해야 되니까 여기서 이제 마이크 체크 하나 둘 셋 해주시고.
하나, 둘, 셋. Mic check. Everybody in
Yes.
the place to be.
Let's check. Just go to the thing and
I haven't shaved for this, mate.
마이크 체크 하나 둘 셋 해주시고. Yeah, okay, good enough. I think your mic can be a bit low. Check your volume for input.
Okay. As in it's a bit loud. I
No,
can.
it's no. It's like not loud enough.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah,
Audio
maybe.
settings, volume, it's max.
No, no. Okay, all good. Probably just
I'll,
my.
I'll I'll speak up. I'll
Yeah, yeah.
be
All good.
conscious.
All good. All right.
So, um, I had some ideas in terms of
Yeah,
structuring this.
yeah,
Spending about 10 minutes each
yeah,
introducing ourselves. Maybe 10 minutes
yeah,
is long, now
yeah,
that I'm thinking about it.
yeah.
And then just talking about how we met and how we got to know each other, how the friendship developed over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And then rounding it up just with our plans going forward and what our listeners and viewers can expect.
The vision is, oh shit, and you're and like, uh, by pure chance, you're wearing white and I'm wearing black as well. Shit.
Oh
Oh
shit.
shit.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
thoughts on that?
Yeah. Like maybe not 10, maybe five, I guess. Like
Yep.
as in just like the intro, like keep it like five,
Yep.
and then
Hey,
like
is
we
the
can
lighting shithouse? Like, should I try to change it?
yeah, keep, like because you're half there's light coming from here, so
Yeah.
like you need to close
Yeah,
the
I'm gonna
blind.
have
Yeah,
to close the blinds and turn the light on. All right, give me one sec.
yeah, yeah,
We'll keep talking and see if we can get the viewers entertained, keep them
yeah.
engaged.
호주김치 라이브. 아, 오, 데니스 씨의 인테리어는 조금 깔끔하네요. 저는 와이프하고 아기 때문에 좀 지저분합니다. 예, 참고로. 예, 이런 얼굴로 결혼했습니다. 예, 하나님 감사합니다.
What did you say? I didn't hear a word.
다음에 봐. 예,
Just gibberish. Yeah,
예, rubbish,
now that
rubbish.
you mentioned the black and white, maybe this could be 흑백 hip hop.
흑백김치,
흑백김치.
흑백김치, 흑백김치.
흑백 요리사 단물 빠지면 어떡하지, 근데?
흑, 흑, 그거 뭐 시즌 2도 나온대.
That's right. That's
음.
right.
나
Yeah.
결국 I didn't even finish it. Like, 그러니까 너무 그러니까 like 그러니까 나는 쭉 못 보니까 like because I can't binge watch it like because it be just getting interrupted too much with life and fam. Like it just lost all momentum for me.
Right, right. So is
Right.
that like a prerequisite? You have to have that momentum to be able to keep watching.
I feel like it's a momentum show. Like I could be wrong, but I feel like
Right.
it's a momentum show. Like as in my wife lost momentum earlier than me. She's like, fuck it. Like I'm not gonna continue. And then like I continued, and then I lost momentum towards the end. And then
What
like
did you watch it up to?
I think like almost right up until the last. Like, cause and also because I don't like watching with spoilers, and I accidentally found out who the winner was as well.
Yeah.
So
Did you watch
yeah,
the Tubu stuff?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I
okay.
don't.
So that
Well,
was
I mean,
like the
like okay,
second to
like
last
what?
round.
Yeah. I didn't
But
watch the final battle, if that
yeah,
makes
no,
sense.
that wasn't. This was the second last round where like the top eight had to continue, like just keep cooking Tubu dishes, and
Nah,
then
nah,
every
understand.
round. So Eight people cook dubu dishes, they drop one person. Next again, they cook dubu. Like
Oh, that's
fucking
sick.
dubu jiu.
Oh, that's sick.
So they
Oh,
had
okay.
like a massive fucking pile of dubu in the middle, and they would like every round they would go and grab more dubu and shit. No, no, it
Oh,
was
that's
shit. It was shit. It got way too repetitive.
oh, well, actually, is tofu more relatable to our Kyoto audience? Like, should it be Hoju tofu?
Why?
Oh, no, no, because we're Korean,
What the
so
fuck?
like just like trying to get the most market
Yeah,
share. You
we're
know
not
what
prisoners, mate.
Yeah, market share.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hey,
Well,
you're okay. Okay.
that's probably a Korean reference as well. Anyway, coming out of prison and eating tofu. Is it Asian or is it Korean?
I reckon it's Korean. I don't know. I
It's got to
haven't
be
I haven't
Korean.
really seen it
It's got
in
to be Korean. To
other.
all our Vietnamese listeners out there, is it to all our Vietnamese, Filipino, Laos, Mongolian,
Yeah,
Kazakhstan? Is it common to eat tofu after prison? Me and Dennis haven't been to prison, so we don't know. But yeah, it's like kind of in the Korean
yeah,
dramas. Yeah,
yeah. Maybe it's we do want to make this live as soon as possible so we can have the
the chat,
interaction
the
with our
chat.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
별풍선 and shit. Yeah. All
뭐
right.
막
Anyway, let's get
데이트하면서 막
cracking.
못생긴 애들이 요즘에 다 하네요, 뭐 이런 거.
All right. All right. Should I kick this off?
Yeah, start it off.
Okay. And feel free to sort of just butt in wherever and ask questions or cut me off, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No, yeah, do the intro. Go, 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 go.
welcome to our first episode of HojuKimchi. It is a working title, I must say. We do have a channel created under that name, but the idea was that Hoju, we're both Aussies. At the same time, we're of Korean background. So, um, correct me if I'm wrong, Boz, but I identify myself as a Korean Australian. That being Korean being the adjective and Australian being the noun. I'm not. I don't really feel that it's shared like 100% with all the Korean Aussie killpots out there. Some people actually think it's weird, and some people think no, you're Korean. You happen to be living in Australia. But I do identify myself as a Australian national of Korean background, and the most accurate description of that is being Korean Aussie.
Jesus, what are your pronouns then, mate? That's a lot of technicality there.
Hey, why is this thing shaking so much? Okay, okay, okay.
Oh,
All right. Anyway, so yeah, I'm Dennis. I work in HR. I don't want to go too much into my professional life just yet because I'm a quite a private person. So quite a ironic in that we're doing this YouTube. Just kind of using this as
professional.
a platform to jibber jabber and have a bit of fun and hopefully make some money. So came to Australia when I was 10 years old and yeah, family of five. So I've got two older sisters. I grew up my in my formative years. The things that influenced me a lot was hip hop, or more specifically Korean hip hop, or maybe more broadly music. Two
Mm.
is 삼국지. I'm like
More broadly,
삼국지.
sound? 어디까지 갈 거야? Like fucking hip hop, and they're actually fucking Korean hip hop, actually music, or actually
Well,
sound.
no,
Like
fuck off. No, but like, as in,
the actually oxygen that's
I do
derived
have
from
a quite
the
a
sound.
wide spectrum of music taste, so I think it does justice for it to be extended to music. And yep, 삼국지 played every game under the sun, and I know every character. I recently bought a board game, so I got Wu to bring me a 삼국지 board game, so pretty keen to try that out.
Like,
And then the other one's basketball. So those three are sort of pillars of my life, especially in my formative years. I am Catholic. I try to practice quite a bit and I try to believe. Um, yeah, I think that'll do for now.
are we doing like rough ages or?
Oh yeah, 86. Oh yeah, we should go. 1986, so 38. Fucking 삼팔 광땡. It's come quick.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm not married. I'm single. I live with a mate, a 팔구 mate. Um, I speak Korean pretty well, almost as good as English, or as well as English. How good is my English after all? Um, and I consume a shitload of Korean media, so I think I'll be doing depending on where this goes, I think I may provide more of a sort of a Korean flavor to this show, possibly more than Boz, at least in speaking it. Boz is the one with the Korea living experience, which I'll let him delve into a bit later. But yeah, I think that will do for now. And then yeah, 양파 까듯이 하나하나씩 이렇게
Yeah.
알게 될
Well, I
겁니다.
mean, let's stay on you while we at it. Okay.
Sure.
So first of all, okay, so like we'll definitely do a Korean episode, in the future regarding your first part of your life, like where you lived in Korea and then you came over. Let's concentrate on the Australian part a bit, right?
Sure.
So just couple of things that I thought about was okay, so like when did you come here roughly? Like what year of school were you in? And like what
Sure.
was that like? Because obviously that
Sure.
is a very different experience to me. So can you like kind of get some like random memories from when
Okay.
you had to come
Yeah, if you were listening, like a good host, you would know. But anyway, so I came when I was 10. So being 86, I came here in 1996. So been here for almost 30 years. I was in year four, so it was the end of year four when I came here, and then I repeated. So I went back into year four because
Yeah.
my mum is like Gangnam Tiger mum, and she wanted
Yeah.
like best education for me. There's a thing called selective schools in Sydney in Australia where you 시험쳐 to get into your high school, and she wanted and for me to have an extra year under my belt to learn English and to go for this test. Anyway, so repeated, went into school with the 동생s, I suppose, 팔칠's and 팔팔's. Um, Sticking memory of my sort of early years in Australia was like two main things. One is like just like a conceptual thought in that I've always been sporty and I used to play like sport all throughout my childhood is in Korea and hanging out with mates like playing 축구 everywhere and playing like fucking 야구 in the 아파트 주차장 and shit and like breaking cars and shit. And then I come here and there's grass everywhere and I was like, fuck, this place is awesome for sport. I wish all my friends came here with me. So that was like one thought that I had. The other one is like a specific memory. So first possibly my first week of school. Um, well, yeah, anyway, in the early days of school, I couldn't speak English. Well, I wasn't very good at it, and I
Yeah.
learned this game.
Hello.
I learned this game. It's
Oh,
an Aussie game, and for the non-Aussie listeners out there, you might know what handball is, and it's not the European handball. It's this shitty game that kids play on the playground with a tennis ball. And I learnt and I was playing handball and I got into a bit of a beef with this Chinese guy. His name's Sean Huang. And I'm actually still connected with
shout
him.
out to Shawnee.
Yeah, yeah.
Hope you're
Shout
doing
out
well,
to
son.
Sean out there, represent whatever you're doing. I think you're in property or working in property, this junkie guy. Anyway, and he fucking gave me shit. He like pushed me. I got out and then he pushed me to like fucking make the point or like telling me to hurry the fuck off. And then me being fucking from Korea and from the mean streets of fucking Togo, um,
From 도곡동, 대치동, Seoul
yeah,
City.
yeah, Seoul
Ah.
City represent. I punched this cunt.
Oh shit. For those that don't know, Woodong's like super rich area. It's like think of like pretty much like the eastern suburbs of Sydney. That's where this guy grew
Yeah.
up.
So anyway, yeah, being a rough kid from Togo, I punched this guy at this first kind of hint of provocation. And landed, right in his nose, because that's how I roll. And then he started bleeding. His nose started bleeding. And if you know, like I grew up in Korea in the 90s, and there was a bit of violence. Like, it's I'm not gonna pretend it's like fucking 말죽거리 잔혹사 where, it's like, they're fighting all the time and shit. But anyway, but in Australia,
Bro, the
that shit
90s
is
in Sydney,
non-heard
it
of.
was
Not
way
heard of.
way more violent than I would say the streets of Togokdong Seoul. But anyway, go on.
Yeah. Well, but then this was in Dundas, so like just like a very average suburb, This we're not talking fucking wild streets of Campsie and shit, like where Boz
Oh
is
yeah,
from.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Boz
yeah,
is
yeah,
from the
yeah.
hood. So anyway, I punched this guy. His nose starts bleeding, and then this shit becomes like a big deal at school. We both go to the principal's office, or I think maybe we're in the sick bay first, and then like I remember whenever like someone walked past the sick bay, he would start crying and then he would stop when like that person passes. And anyway, so that was my I didn't get into too much trouble, but it was a shock for me to be at a principal's office for punching a kid.
Yeah, and that was like did you go to Dundas Public School?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So you moved to Dundas, right?
I lived in
Like is it when
Dundas
you
for the first year or two.
and then you moved to
Epping,
Epping?
Epping. After that, I grew up in Epping.
And then when you grew up in Epping, were you still at Dundas Public School or by then were you
Mm.
in high school?
I moved to Epping Public. So I think I did year 5 and 6 at Epping Public, where that's where I met Fatron and shit.
Okay.
And yeah, but
Okay.
yeah, from then on, like, I lived in Epping.
Right, right, right. So yeah, so basically like the difference is you came obviously you immigrated later and then second you immigrated to um a place where Koreans had already established themselves in sort of the like I dare say the upper middle class of probably that area. Middle
Dundas is very
not
middle and
not Dundas but like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Epping, definitely middle to upper.
Epping, yes. So
Yeah.
Epping was different. Like there were a lot more Korean kids, and yeah. Oh, if, funny enough, they were a little bit rougher. Like they swore. The kids swore a lot at Epping, whereas Dundas they didn't.
Swearing, I think in Australia is honestly like my wife really gets like annoyed at me swearing. I mean, obviously since we now have a kid, but like honestly, swearing was just like it wasn't. You know what I mean? It was just part of growing up here, and honestly is I would say to this day. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but Australians just swear
More so
as
than
part of
Koreans,
the
you reckon?
yeah, no,
Like,
Koreans swear as not part of the everyday language, right? Like it's more for like kind of like 약간 뭐 나쁘게 말하면 like 애들끼리 or something like it's not part of everyday language and 특히 남자들이 이렇게 있을 때 욕 like they probably use a lot of 욕. I don't know. That's my impression. I'm not saying 여자들 don't use 욕, but I'm saying my experience in Korea was definitely 남자들 is using like so much 욕 together. Like 아 씨발 존나 아 개새끼 야 씨발 병신아 like a lot of that.
yeah.
But that happens just normally in here, I would say. But
Fuck
anyway.
off, man.
Huh?
In everyday living, you're at work and you're talking with colleagues and you're like fucking swearing your
No,
mouth
no,
off.
okay, okay. Okay, but like definitely like in the workplace, people will
Yeah.
say shit and fuck, I would say, and it's been like kind of not obviously in a town like you're not obviously in like a town or a executive meeting saying that, but people are definitely using fucking shit and crap as part of like
Okay.
the
Yeah,
everyday
maybe it is more
vernacular.
common in the workplace
Yeah,
in
but
Australia.
imagine if like in Korea you can't do it. Like okay if fuck is the equivalent of shibar in Korea, you can't be like shibar 빨리 해. You can't do that.
Opposed to in Australia, you would say, "Hey, hurry the fuck up."
Yeah, well,
In the
okay,
office.
so okay, like we're obviously both office workers. Like
Yeah.
we're privileged like enough that we are office workers. Like shout out to all the people like
Nogada's out
hard
there.
like hard yakka. Like I wasn't built for that, unfortunately. My dad was, but not me. But yeah, like as in, bro, like I don't have that many mates in like in construction or on site or like blue collar hard yakka, but I think you got more than me. But they say it's like it's like mate, hey, fucking mate, get the fuck like it's yeah, it's like
Hey,
you know what I mean? It's
what
culture.
about the Korean Nogadas, man? I'm sure they'd be fucking.
Yeah, true. 아이 그래
I
너네들
remember
야
like
씨발
song.
너 마누라 이 반찬 이렇게 맛없는 거 해? 뭐 이런 거나?
I remember Song was doing some Nogada like like when we were 20 or something, with working with Koreans, and he would like 흉내 this 형 that he works with, and every second word was Shiba. It was like
I
Shiba, blah blah blah.
Okay, okay. You know what? Like we're probably like, yeah, we probably don't know shit about it. Eh? We're just like
I
classic.
just
Like
don't think there's like a huge difference, especially for guys, whether like Aussies swear significantly more than Koreans. I'm just if so, maybe slightly like slightly more. Like I think it's harder for me to imagine a 부장님 saying, "야, 이 씨발 이거 안 갖고 와," or like "이거 빨리 안 해?"
that's the
over
best.
over. You know what? Like even that's arguable. Like when we hear of like from Wu, this fucking 부장님 throwing 재떨이 and shit like that, like everything's on the table, man.
Yeah, yeah, okay. And like to be honest, like to be fair, we're probably like been like privileged to not like experience that shit a lot. like as in we probably haven't been in that sort of environment enough to comment. So anyway, yeah, okay, let's
All
go
right,
back to it. So
let's. Oh, okay. So
what
you still want to stay with me?
yeah, yeah, okay, okay. Just like one thing is like, what was like, okay, what was like the culture shock and like the challenge? Like speaking English was one of them,
Yep.
obviously. So like
Yep.
that was obviously hard. But like, was there any culture? Like, okay, you were like, oh, grass, fucking yeah, let's play sport. Okay, but
Environmental
what?
things, and then
Yeah,
the culture shock of like, I guess the less tolerance of violence. Yeah, and mind you, as a sporty boy at that age, it's very easy to make friends. So, and like you would know, I have like a bit of a gift for languages. So I picked up English very quickly, even before school started in February. So I came here in December. I lived at a townhouse complex where I had a family friend who took me out to the tennis court every day, and we were playing roller hockey. And I'd already made friends through that, and I had like friends coming knocking on my door and like looking for Dennis to play with, and my mom was like, "Who the fuck is Dennis?"
like,
Like,
hello, is that a star?
yeah, yeah. So yeah, my mom had no idea like who Dennis was, and I was like, "Yeah, oh, that's me." And then I would go out and play, every day.
Okay, so did you make up that name, Dennis? Like, obviously, like you didn't have an English name when you were living in Korea. So did you just come in and go, fuck, all right, yeah, I'm just gonna call
So
myself
I had
Dennis?
two, I guess, inspirations. One from Dennis the Menace,
Yeah,
and the
Dennis the
other
Menace, of
from
course.
Dennis Rodman. So
Oh, Dennis Rodman.
yeah, so Dennis the Menace was like for me this in the fantasy Western world how
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
a little kid lives
Yeah, it was
in the
like this little
fucking
shit who did
tree
shit, right?
house. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But
yeah,
like
yeah,
he was like kind of running wild and doing it all in this nice Western sort of suburb.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And then Dennis Rodman, obviously, me with my basketball kind of, you know, love and Slam Dunk. Have you read Slam Dunk?
No, I haven't. I should. I really should, but I
Slam
haven't.
Dunk is the main character is, yeah, is based on, well, inspired by Dennis Rodman.
Okay, Donisu. Okay, yeah, cool. No, sick. All right, yeah. I mean, we'll probably have to revisit this as we go, but yeah, I
Yep.
think that paints a picture.
Yep. All right.
Um,
Over to you, mate.
Yeah, look, conversely, look, not that I grew up rough or anything like that. No, it's like obviously, as Dennis alluded to earlier, it wasn't like that, but I'm more from, so like less affluent family, traditionally. So my parents immigrated late 80s. I'm 87, obviously. So I think we came in 89 when I was two. So literally, I have no memory of that. So I think it's pretty fair to say like pretty much the same as like the Asians who were born here. I would say I would just probably fit in that category. I guess second gen is what they say. So yeah, like all I remember is just growing up here in Campsie. My earliest memories were like pretty much yeah, I grew up in Campsie and so back then like seriously flash history. So in Australia, in Sydney, in the early 90s, that's basically a lot of Koreans were in Campsie. Like this was before like Koreans got successful and like moved to the more affluent suburbs. It's true,
It was
but
the
so
original
like, what's that?
K-Town.
This is the original K-Town. It still is. It's still got a lot of OG Koreans actually. So shout out to the original first gen. So it was Campsie and Belmore. So if you go to Belmore, it still has the traditional lot of Korean restaurants and stuff that was there in the early 90s. And you'll see probably a lot more grandpas around Campsie and Belmore who are the OG Koreans who obviously had kids like
Well, yeah,
me and
it's got
then they
the
branched off.
Hanyunhae there, and like it's got some like community center for like the old Koreans and shit like that still, yeah.
That's right. That's where the OG is. Yeah, the Korean OG like community thing and like all that stuff was actually from that area. That area is also where in the 90s it was I don't know the tradition before the 90s, but in the 90s it was heavily dominated by the Lebanese Australian community as well. So and then also a lot of islanders there as well, island Australian community as well. So it was like a melting pot, but that was my main growing up, definitely a lot of that sort of ethnic community there. I would say Koreans, Lebanese, Islanders, and those are my memories of growing up in Campsie. It was like considered quote unquote dangerous. Like, I mean, let's be honest, it's not the United States of America or anything like that, but it's not the States. But in Australia, in Sydney at the time, I guess that catchment is the Canterbury Bankstown area, and there was, a lot of crime, and issues around the 90s when I was a kid, and
Lebos
every
mostly, like fueled by
uh,
Lebos,
I think so, but like I think it
and
was
what
just
Viets maybe.
yeah, like it was like as I mentioned, like Asians and I don't want to generalize as Lebanese, but like Middle Eastern. So it was
Okay.
like Asian, Middle East. That's what I mean. It could be Korean, could be Chinese. Like, but yeah, like Asian, Middle Eastern, and Islanders. Like there was that kind of and there were incidents. There was like this store got robbed, held up, gunpoint. Like there was a lot of that stuff. Like I remember growing up, there was a lot of stuff. Once there was like a house on fire. I remember. And like it was just like, I lived in one of those like ghetto like red brick apartments. Obviously, we're just
Ghetto.
renters, and then like, you know, across the road, it's just like a whole house on fire and stuff. And like, like as a kid, I'm thinking like, oh, it's just like a house on fire. But now I'm like, yeah, obviously it must have been a lot of like the whole house was on fire, like the whole house. But yeah, anyway, yeah, so like my parents immigrated there, and then yeah, so this was like a melting pot of like that, and this is when Koreans were predominantly, I would say, working class in Australia at the time.
Hmm.
A lot still are, but at the time it was, I would say, predominantly working class. 'Cause that's the first gen. That's my parents who couldn't speak English and all that sort of stuff.
Hmm.
And yeah, so a lot of the Australian Koreans who came here, they would do a lot of labor work, so a lot of welding and all that sort of stuff, or cleaning.
Mm.
And like that was my dad was doing that when he first got here.
Mm.
He pretty much did both, to make ends meet and all that sort of stuff. So look, when I'm young, so this is another thing. When I was young, I did not know that we were like like the use of the word poor is so like it's so broad, right? I mean, but like in terms of the Western world, like first world poor, like as in,
Mm.
struggling working class. I had no idea. Like when I was a kid, that just wasn't a thing, or maybe I don't know. Times has changed because I don't
No
know.
idea
Like
about the concept of poverty.
yeah, no idea about the concept of like being like in the lower socioeconomic class or whatever. Like
Sure.
I had no concept of. I just grew up like completely like oblivious to that. I
I
went
wonder
to
if
the
any kid does. You
But well, that's
just
the
kind
thing.
yeah.
Well, this is the funny thing in Korea now. Apparently, like this is what my wife tells me. It's like, so like in the richer suburbs like 압구정 or 대치동, whatever, you got these kids, and then they're like 초등학생,
Mm.
like which is primary school, year one and two,
Mm.
and then they come to school wearing like Moncler. So for those who don't know Moncler, it's like super high
Yeah.
luxury brand
Yeah.
like puffer jackets
Yeah.
because in
Yeah.
Korea
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
super
Yeah. Yeah.
cold. And then like yeah, like if you don't wear Moncler, like
Yeah, if
the
you're
kids are
wearing
like,
North
야
Face,
너
you're a shit
너
kick.
씨발 너뭐 몽클레 없어? 너 유니클로야? 야 개거지네. 거지다. 너랑 못 놀아. 엄마가 너랑 놀지 말래.
Fuck off, mate. Fuck
개거지야.
off.
Nah, nah. But apparently, like that shit happens, and I can speak for a fact. When I was in Korea, there was like, year one and year two wearing that stuff and sort of. Anyway, so the
Mm.
point is. I grew up like that, but I had like, as I said, I honestly, very innocent childhood. My current parents are also Korean, so I was sheltered a lot from
Mm.
that stuff. Like they didn't want me to, engage in, any of like activity or like, they weren't overbearing, but like, they definitely like had an eye on me the whole time. And in primary, I was just like, honestly, oblivious, and I went to like the local public school, and there was heaps of Koreans there, as I said, because it was KMC,
Mm.
and it was all good. But then I moved as well, also to like a little bit of a nicer area, and then and then my parents
Gordon
started a
Park?
business. Yeah, Croydon Park, and my parents started a business, and over there is where I sort of met like really close, like Aussie, like Caucasian, like Aussie mates, and then I sort of grew up like that. So I didn't grow up. So I left like the Korean sort of catchment, and I grew up with more like Aussies. They became my best mates, and then so I was very Aussified for the whole time
Mm.
until I went to high school. And my parents again didn't want to send me to the local schools because they weren't good at the time, right?
Oof.
And so they didn't. She didn't want me to go there, so she sent me to a Catholic school. So I went to a predominant Lebanese Catholic Roman Catholic school. So that so that's where it wasn't like educationally great, but it was definitely very disciplined and things like that. Like we're talking like, necktie from year 7. You have to wear a blazer, your shoes got to be clean, your hair's got to be clean, you got to be clean shaven. So it's very like I learned that sort of like responsibility and discipline early. And yeah, that's sort of my upbringing. So I just went to Catholic school, traditional, and yeah, hang around with Asians there. And that was sort of me. Yeah.
Right, right. Hey, I don't know if it pops up on your screen, but
Mm.
this is on the free Zoom account, so we're limited to 40 minutes, and we've got
Yeah, yeah, we'll
nine
just
minutes left.
restart it.
I don't
Yeah.
I actually don't think it's a bad thing for it to be limited to 40 minutes, but
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
okay, because okay, it sounds like in this first episode, I don't know, should we get into like how we met? Like, I think that's almost like another episode in itself.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
look, we could. I think so. Look, I mean, the intros. I think that's pretty good enough for the intros, right? I mean, you get the idea. We're both immigrants. We came at different times.
mm,
We're obviously come from Asian family. Specifically Korean, and which heavy
yeah,
focus on educate. Like you guys get the idea. There are plenty of you guys out there who pretty much had some similar upbringing. So it's just literally like Asian immigrant, first gen, 1.5 gen, came
yeah,
here, parents shielding us and parenting us from pretty much like you know sort of going too loose and
mm.
like trying to steer us on some kind of educational path, which we inadvertently followed in somewhat degree. We're probably not the most successful Asian Australians, but like, yeah, like we
I think
predominantly
we're
followed
like
that.
yeah, average.
Yeah, the average, like, the
Yeah,
average, like go to school, go to uni, get a job, like, and work, you know, preferably in the white collar domain, like sitting in an
yeah.
office doing something. I mean, that's basically what we are.
I think yeah, I might just because since you mentioned it, I might just share a little bit more about my family background and maybe just I guess how I grew up like socially throughout high school, throughout my school days. So as I said, I have two older sisters. My dad was a stockbroker in Korea, and he 잘 나갔어 then. And then when we came here, and it was very much a choice, for the kids' lives, kids' future. And they did the blue collar stuff. So they did a bit of 청소, and then they ran a laundromat, and then after
Classic.
that we kind of renovated our place, or we made it bigger and did some hustle and sharing business type of thing. So that's them. My sisters were both accountants, and they're married, and yeah, there's not too much to say about that. And just in terms of, I guess, my social circle throughout high school. So during primary school days, yeah, I hung out with Aussie guys mostly, and just like again very sporty, like a bit skatey, those kind of guys. And then when I went to high school, as I mentioned before, like got into a selective school, which is a school full of nerds basically. And there was
It
heaps
was
of
Normanhurst that nerdy? Like, I mean,
not
it's
out
good.
of the nerdy
Yeah.
schools, it was more diverse and less nerdy.
Yeah.
Um, but my point in that being that there were a lot of Asians. So it would be like an even mix between white guys, Asians, and curries, basically. Which I actually liked the diversity. It wasn't like 90% dominated by Asians, so I kind of was able to keep like a fairly diverse group of friends.
Damn, was
Um,
Rod a minority there, like being a Lebo? Like, was he?
yeah, yeah. There's no
Oh
Lebos.
my
There's
gosh,
no
man.
Lebos.
Bro, see how funny like school can be? Like, whereas, like, as in, I'm just gonna go with the flow here, but yeah, like, conversely, like, I went to a predominant, like, Lebanese Australian school.
Mm.
And yeah, like, it was just, and the Asians were the minority, like, minority of the minority. So we were the least. So you had predominantly Lebo, then Caucasian, like, and then from there split into sort of like you had the wogs, as they used to say, like so the Italians, the Greeks, like that sort of white, and then you had like Aussie white, and back then we used to go skips, right? Libs versus skips. I don't know if you guys did that, so it was like that,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then like Asian, like and like so my like school was just like super like a non-event for me because we were just like the minority doing our own like all we did was like play basketball at like all the Asians just played basketball during lunch, and I was shit at basketball, so I was just like sort of like like
Well,
super
that's
sub.
what we
Yeah.
eventually were doing anyway. Like the Asians getting together playing basketball,
Yeah, that's it.
and
Asians
then in
getting
the
together
later
playing
years,
basketball.
it's we would just like sit around the basketball court and talk about Dota. Like that's what happened in year 11
Yeah,
and
yeah,
12.
yeah, yeah.
So
Like
my
similar shit.
point
Yeah.
being like. I guess, th and even when after school, when I got to uni and I started hanging around like the church a lot, the Korean church. So kind of going back to your sort of cultural roots or heritage, which is interesting because like yeah, I guess a lot of my closest friends are of Korean background. So yeah, I just wanted to sort of point that out.
Actually, on that, actually, I want to go back to, you said like, oh, when you were talking about like being like, yeah, Korean, Australia, all that sort of stuff,
Yep.
yeah, so basically like I don't agree with the statement where you go how some people are like, no, 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 you're just Korean and like you just happen to be living in Australia. Like I don't really like me personally, I don't agree with that unless you yourself are seriously just pure like Korean valued, Korean, nationality. When I say nationality, I mean like Korean passport, like Korean, like citizenship, and you are just here purely like working, like because then essentially you are just living somewhere else, residing. Whereas your case is you immigrated here, so you have some form of assimilation. So that's what I
Yeah, no,
think.
regardless of
Yeah.
that, I feel like no, I have no qualms about them feeling like that.
Mm.
Koreans are very particular, and there's this like very strong sense of pride or identity that's difficult to not like it's like it's
No,
very
like I'm not
strong.
saying you don't have to raise, all right? But okay, so if okay, so if you're Korean and you feel so Korean deep rooted and you're just like, oh no, I'm like I, I reject every Western value or whatever,
Yeah,
then like why are you living here though? So you only want to like take the good, like
you're
oh
asking
like
me
great
the
country.
question, yeah?
No, 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 like
Oh,
as
okay,
in
okay.
yeah, like generally. So that means like like if I'm generalizing
I
as
think
well,
it's
then
utilitarian, like as in, yeah, you want the positives,
yeah,
but
so
at
you
the
just
same
want to live
time,
here, working
I think it's two
conditions,
things.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
um, yeah. There's that, like as in you prefer to live in this country, and secondly, I think there is like the negative feeling that the country doesn't genuinely accept me as an outsider or an immigrant. So, um, yeah.
But that's for everyone, though. That's like every Asian ethnicity. That's every Middle East. That's every European. Oh, maybe not European, but like because they like definitely more like in like assimilated and accepted in that way.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
every ethnicity that doesn't look Caucasian
Yep.
is always gonna have that. Like I
Yeah, yeah,
always say that. Like
no.
if
I
yeah,
agree. I agree.
yeah.
As the outsider, as the immigrant, you're gonna have that sense to a certain extent, but it does seem quite strong in Koreans. I'm not saying it's like the strongest
Yeah,
for them,
yeah,
but they
yeah, yeah.
definitely sit on the stronger spectrum.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, my view is also like you can't be like, Korea, like the best, and then like be like, oh, but like I don't want to live there. I'm gonna live here because like it's just
Hey,
better here. Like you
simple
can't.
example. By the way,
Yeah,
we have a minute left on the recording, but
yeah.
if
Well, we
when
got to reboot
Korea,
the recording for sure. Yeah.
sorry.
Well, we got to redo it. We got to use
Okay,
the
okay.
hour,
Let's
and
just
then
stop it
yeah,
now, and
yeah.
then in the new one, I'll ask my next question. Yeah.
Okay, all right, yeah,
All right. To be continued. Yep, okay. It works fine. The other file is like converting and shit, so I was wondering if it can be done simultaneously, but all good. All right, anyway, so let's keep it
yep,
snappy because I gotta
yep,
go to lunch after this.
yep,
Um,
yep.
Korea versus Australia in soccer. Who do you go for?
Look, predominantly Korea, only because they're usually the underdog.
Okay.
Yeah.
What if it's a sport where Australia is? Well, hang on. In soccer, is Korea the underdog?
Maybe not now because of Sunny and shit, but like I mean, predominantly it used to be. And purely because like Korea, like like had like so little success. Not that Australia had much success, but like generally as Aussies don't give a shit about soccer. Like when I was growing up, now they do. So I would go for like Korea there. But like as in I passionately go for Australia in rugby league, for example.
Well, that
You
was
know
going
what
to
I
be
mean?
my next question. So,
Yeah.
rugby league, Australia versus Korea, who do you go for?
Yeah, I feel like I'll go for Australia, to be honest.
Well,
Yeah.
Korea's the fucking heavy
I,
underdog in this.
I know. Yes, I'll probably contradict myself. So edit. Nah, like I just generally feel maybe more what the passion of the sport, maybe. Like I don't have any affiliations of like, oh, I feel, like Korea over Australia or Australia over Korea. Like I'm much less, like worried about ethnicity and nationality than I would say a lot of other, like kyoppos or like things like that of any ethnicity. Like, yeah, I'm a proud like Korean background. Like I'm a proud Korean. Like I don't go like Korean Australian or Australian Korean, whatever. I'm Korean, but I'm also Australian. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like that, yeah, like that's my sense. Like, go, what are you? Like, you know,
Are you half
like,
half?
yeah, yeah, well, this is the thing. It's a whole episode in itself. But with Kyoppos and stuff, like, are we ever really Australian? Are we ever really Korean? We're not. There's definitely some identity issues there, where we're never going to be accepted from each country fully. I
Mm,
mean, that's how I feel. We're never going to be accepted from Korea as full Korean. We're
mm.
never going to be accepted from Australia as full Australian. We
And
got our
I'd
own.
much rather it be this way than just be only one.
Yeah, correct. Like, why do I, like, and also like, don't define yourself as like, if you're a Kyopo, like, oh, I'm Korean or I'm Australian. It's just like, look, we got our own thing, man. You know what I mean? And that's why when we were younger, I don't know if we, like me and Wu definitely, we were like, we got to create like this Kyopo world, like Kyopo is, it's not a country, but I mean, like, imagine there's so many Kyopos out there. Like, we're just part of one tiny Korean Kyopo cog machine. Imagine the Vietnamese, imagine the Chinese, imagine like, like, everything, right? The Mongolians, the Japanese, like a very big expat. That's just the Asians, Then you got, everywhere, all across the world, right? I mean, you got Koreans who grew up in Germany. I've met them before when I was in Korea. Then you got the Korean Germans, bro. You know what I mean? They're like, "Hushdak, hushdak, 씨발, like, Jomin sausage, hushdak." You don't know. Like you got like Koreans that grew up
Good
in
stuff.
Lebanon. There's a Korean Arabs community. They're gonna be like, "Hey, hush. Well, hectic lad, go to kimchi, hectic lad." Kimchi with the garlic sauce and shit. You just
Yep.
don't know. Look,
Yep.
there might be fucking Korean Arabs there have their own fucking kebabs that no one knows about. It's just fucking in
Uh,
fucking, somewhere out there, So like that, we got our own thing going, man. And Korean Australians have their own thing going, and within Korean Australians, it's subcategories all the time. There's sub within the sub these
yeah, hey,
days. Yeah.
maybe like the shit that we talk about, at least for on this topic, it's gonna resonate with all the expats out there, all the immigrant community outside of
Yeah.
just, Korean Australians or, Asian, whatever, like the entire Kyopo or immigrant community. So that's cool. Um
Yeah.
yeah, no, and then like so after the sport, my next question was gonna be if Korea and Australia are in a war against each other,
No.
who do you fight for?
Yeah. Like, look, honestly, I think like, well, mate, the weird part is I can't imagine. Like, I'm just gonna be honest, right? First of all, I'm not a soldier and never killed anyone, so I can't even imagine that. Second, like, I just can't imagine like killing Koreans or killing Australians or killing anyone. To be fair. But like, you know what I mean? I can't, you know what I mean? I'm just like, bro. Look, I'm a
Yeah,
clad in
yeah,
a
yeah.
uniform.
I love it, not a
I
hater,
keep
but
it.
answer the fucking
Yeah.
question.
Mate, look, if look, if I had to, I reckon like, bro, I gotta kill some Koreans, bro. No, no,
Fucking
no,
traitor, fucking traitor.
no.
이 매국노 새끼. 이
Yeah,
매국노
look,
새끼.
I can't kill Koreans. I can't kill Australia. I know it's a pussy answer. It's fucking
Right.
pussy, but
I'd
yeah,
fight
like,
for fucking Australia tooth and nail, man.
yeah, but look,
This is my country. This is where I
yeah, look,
live.
I have to say, look, 1% of me is definitely leaning towards like, like, I mean, Australia's given me everything, right? Everything.
Yeah.
So, well, predominantly everything. So, I think it's the country that I align with the most. But as I said, I'm deep rooted in both countries. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Like,
mm,
both countries play an important part to me. Obviously, one being my blood and one being my culture. You
mm,
know what I mean?
mm.
So, yeah. Mm.
Um, when do you feel proud about being Australian?
Australian. Honestly, like for me, I feel the most proud when like honestly Australians just like
Oh, so sorry,
prove.
actually, sorry, before
Yeah,
you answer that, just to give my own answer to the questions I was asking you. Like very similar, by the way, in terms of sport. Um, for soccer career, because you know the whole narrative of 2002 and all
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
shit's
yeah,
like deep
yeah.
rooted.
Yes,
But
yes.
generally speaking, I would be going for the underdog. Um, and it may depend on the sport. And again, similar to soccer, when it comes to baseball, like I've followed the Korean team for a while. Um, but yeah, yeah. Otherwise, like I don't really have like a strong affiliation in terms of a national sporting team. But then yeah, as I said, if it came down to war, for me, it's like it's not even a difficult decision. Like Australia is my country of citizenship, and this is where I live, and this is where I will be living, over Korea. So yeah, I'll go out there and nuke some
Oh
Koreans
fuck!
easy.
What a neo-Nazi, man. Nah, nah. But no, well, yeah, fair enough. I mean, you also come from a Chinapa family, so
Yeah,
yeah, I mean
yeah.
that
So
makes
it's
sense.
very natural for me to backstab Koreans. Hey, we do need to have an episode on politics one day. But anyway, so
100%, like, yeah.
what was the question that you were just answering now?
Yeah, yeah. So like, when do I feel proud from Australia? And just to
Yes.
touch on, like, like like, yeah, the whole, like, just like one more point about the sporting thing. Yeah, it's like I feel like, for example, like for me and you anyway, like if Korea versus Australia in a sport that we did not give a fuck about, like we just w wouldn't care. We'd just like be like, yeah, whatever. We'd watch it or
Yeah.
whatever.
If it
Like if
was
they
like
played each
chess, we
other.
wouldn't give
Yeah,
two
if it was in
fucks.
chess, like I would have no, like, I'd be like, I don't give a fuck who wins, right? So yeah, I think
Mm,
that matters as well. I feel most proud to be Australian when honestly, like, we do shit. Like, we had that terrible bushfire thing, and like, just like whole country just rallies around. Like, like I know it sucks how you rally when a disaster happens, but I think this country, whenever something like that happened, like the whole country's got behind it, like whether emotionally, financially, or that sort of thing. I think most countries do that anyway, but I feel like Australia definitely, well, just from what I see, is very united in that sense. I also feel like um, it's this is just like a byproduct of probably a lot of things, but I feel Australia, like now that I do have a family, I am married with a kid and another kid on the way, and like now that I am that, I mean, God, if there's another country that's better to raise kids and have a family, I please let me know where it is so I can move there because like um this place is fucking awesome, man, and like I am fucking privileged and honored to be living in this fucking, like, well, to have my parents immigrate here and to just be raised in this country because man, it's a fucking awesome country to have a family and raise kids, man. It's fucking awesome. Like, I mean, it's not just because of like one reason or two reasons. It's just like it is just awesome. And for anyone that does get married and have kids, probably agree generally. And when you do, you probably will agree. But that man, that makes me feel proud to live in a country where like raising a family is possibly one of the best places to do so. Yeah, that I'm very proud of that. Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Obviously, I'm not in that position of raising a
yeah.
family, but I can definitely sort of yeah understand that to a certain extent. Um, hey, we may get fucking sponsorship from the Department of Immigration or something, man.
Yeah.
We're being pretty damn good ambassadors for the country. Um,
Australia, mate. No,
the
well, that's how good of a fucking country this is, though.
It's
Like,
an
I mean,
awesome
legit,
country, no
man.
doubt, no doubt. And
Like, it's a fucking good
there's
country.
like two things. Whenever I travel and come back to Australia, and more specifically Sydney, I think I'm probably a bigger fan of Sydney than you are. But
Yeah,
I
yeah,
do
yeah.
think Sydney is such a beautiful place. Just the weather, just the scenery,
The
the
beaches, yeah,
food,
fuck,
yeah, all
so
that
good.
shit
Yeah.
is awesome. So yeah, whenever I travel and wherever it is that I go, it's such a I might go to the most beautiful place, but whenever I come back, I'm like, fuck, what an awesome home to come back to. And sort of similar on that similar theme, you know the Qantas ad?
The when we were kids, right? Like I still call
Yeah,
Australia home, bro.
yeah,
I fucking
dude.
remember
Whenever
crying
I
to that
watch that
shit,
shit
man.
or listen to that song, it gives me that like that
Such a good ad.
감동, man. Like it's
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure,
yeah,
for sure.
it's and the third thing is rugby league. I feel that rugby league embodies the pinnacle and the shittiest. Like I think it's just so Australian.
It's fucking
in its
Australian.
peak
I
and
love
trough.
it.
Like
Love
all
it.
these fucking
Tribalism,
yeah,
like fucking
just everything, just
like
the
the
blue
traditional sports
collaredness,
ground. Yeah.
the
Booing the
the
refs.
convict kind of like mentality of just being fucking bogus and
Yep.
causing trouble and
Yep. Abusing the players. Yeah,
very
yeah,
very
yeah.
conservative and yeah, just like a lot
Love
of
it.
things that I love and hate about Australia is embodied in rugby league. I
Yep,
feel.
like shit administration, like
Yeah,
yeah, like poor like management, like all that sort of shit. Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah,
yeah.
no, not look. When I was younger, I honestly, and maybe you can relate to this, other couples can relate to this. I did not appreciate like growing up in Australia, like legit. As I got to my 30s, definitely, like I started really appreciating it. I've lived in, and also we will, we'll have a whole episode on that, but I've lived in Korea for 4 years in my late 20s. And although I loved Korea, like I fell in love with Korea, particularly Seoul, the city as well. But like, yeah, this country, like there's, definitely these days, not a day goes by that I'm glad my parents immigrated to the Canterbury Bankstown area of Sydney in the 90s. The
Sure,
lovely, lovely,
sure.
yeah, the lovely, lovely Canterbury Bankstown inner west area.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Fuck the
100%. Like,
northern beaches and the eastern suburbs, yeah?
yeah, but yeah, yeah. Fuck the East. No, no, no. Like, would love to live there one day, guys. You, no, no. Yeah, Australia. But yeah, look, we're just plugging Australia too much at this point, and I don't know how it
No, no, we can go
got
into
to
all
it.
the shittiness about Australia at other point.
Oh, there's plenty. Yeah, there's
And we
plenty.
can, you know what? We should do like a full episode on like Korea versus Australia comparison.
Okay, well, how's this? Let's end it on this one concept, and then we can, make it fun and call it a day. But like, okay, so currently, right now, Sydney's going through fucking like massive union shit with the trains, like Sydney
Hmm.
trains and train drivers and shit like that. I don't know if you know much about it, and like the union basically is like fucking holding like the city to ransom by like striking and shit, and then like fucking people can't get to work and shit like that. Like that shit I hate about Australia. Like that will not fucking happen in the Republic of Korea, ladies and gentlemen, because I hate to say it, but they would just get fired.
Fucking
And
just get
it's
martial law on them cunts.
they would just get fired. I'm sorry to say it, but that's just the way it is. Supply and demand. It will be a country with plenty of people who are willing to drive trains for whatever money, etc., etc. So please, like I'm not trying to hate on train drivers out there, but you are affecting us, the everyday man, man. You're not affecting the fucking high class who are driving to work with their fucking private car spaces in their Maseratis and shit. You're affecting the everyday man who owns a Toyota Corolla and the wife has to use it and has to catch a fucking Sydney train to work. So fuck you, okay? And like there was this news snippet, right?
Uh,
And then like it had like the union boss guy, and then like the Carl Stefanovic, like I think was asking him, hey, you can't fucking you've lost the public fucking the public opinion, right? You can't fucking hold these guys to ransom and shit. And then he's like, oh, it's not us that are holding the public to ransom, it's the government, blah blah blah. It's a fucking typical Aussie answer, like like,
oh, I
oh,
don't know. I don't know about that. Yeah, no, we should leave it there for another day.
okay, okay,
I do have my thoughts on that. It's obviously never their intention to like fuck up the everyday people, like as
yeah,
in,
yeah, yeah.
well, like maybe indirectly. But anyway,
Yeah,
I think
I'm just emotional because it fucked me up, guys, over the last week. That's all.
yeah, yeah,
Much
fair
love
enough.
to
I drive to
everyone.
work and I work from home the rest of the week. So anyway, hey, I think that's a pretty juicy first episode. There'll be
Yeah,
plenty of meat to chew off that bone. Let's this is going to be a weekly thing, guys, at least for the next 10 weeks, depending on how much love we get. So or you can kind of clearly see that, we're quite into it and we enjoy this. So well, we'll continue and yeah, your love and support is much appreciated. 좋댓
let's
Peace.
go.
All right. Peace out.
Peace.
Have a nice weekend.
Peace.